Hi, it's been a while. Today I'm going to show you how I make my own inserts for my passport TN. This is actually take two of this video because my first attempt that I did last week where I actually made the insert, I couldn't use any of the footage because my computer refused to edit 4K footage without a subscription. So here we are again, and hopefully all goes well and you actually get to see this. Okay, firstly, why I make my own inserts is Travelers Company products are not sold in South Africa, so I would have to import everything. And while I do love throwing my money at this brand, I just don't like their inserts. A few reasons: the cover, I don't like the color of the outer cover of the inserts, and each one has their own signifier to determine what the insert is, whether it's blank paper, line paper, MD paper, lightweight paper, whatever. I don't use any of those. I don't have any interest in it. I have a ton for my standard size that are brand new, untouched, because I just don't use that. I prefer a grid, and I want to say it's the green one, like the green cover, I think. I don't like green. I don't like, I'm not going to use that cover. And their grid is too dark. Like when you open it, it's too dark, and the grid goes all the way to the edge of the page, which I don't like. It's also 5mm grid, and that's too big for my writing. I end up wasting the paper. So I was heavily inspired by the planner girls, the ring planner girls, because they make their own inserts, which I didn't know. I thought you just buy those hole punch inserts, but turns out they make their own. So I was heavily inspired by their creativity and the way in which they went about making their inserts, and I started making my own. My first, like you can see throughout all these inserts that I have here, they are wonky. They don't look identical to each other. I have made mistakes. Each is slightly different in size to the next, but I seem to, like, you can just see the stitch binding is wonky. It's just, this is the new one that I made last week. But anyway, but I like that I get to customize my insert to my specifications. So I incorporated all the things I did not like about the TN, like the Travelers Company inserts, and made my own in the way that I like. So not that one. Oh, it's in here. So I will show you. I cannot show you. Do I have a blank page? Okay, we'll use this. So basically I've ensured that it's a 3.7mm grid, similar to my Hobonichi A6. There is the margin on each page. I did make it too dark, but we'll talk about that just now. There is a white border around everything, so the grid doesn't go to the edge of the page. And yeah, I just enjoyed designing this for myself. So that's what I will show you, how I make my inserts. You absolutely do not need to make your own, and I would, unless you want to customize your book and not just use what's standard that everybody else uses, or like me, you didn't like what's available. The only reason I wouldn't make my own is if there's an alternative that's readily available to you and a bit more cost effective, because it does take like a fair amount of time and resources unless you already have the items with you, like unless you already own these items. So materials that you will need will be paper of choice. I just use plain copy paper that I already have. So I just use plain copy paper that I already have. I just print on my A4 pages. You'll need about 15 to 18 sheets of A4 paper. You'll also need some form of cardstock to be the outer cover of your book in whatever weight you want. I want to say mine is 280 GSM, but depending on the binding that you are choosing, whether you're going to staple it or stitch the book together, you don't want something too thick that you will have difficulty with in binding your book together. So you'll need that. You'll need some form of cutting utensil, either scissors or a paper trimmer. I use a ruler, like a steel ruler with an X-Acto knife, just because manually cutting each page with scissors takes too long. And even though the paper trimmer is a lot faster, I am not very good at using the paper trimmer as yet, so I just use an X-Acto knife as well. You will also need an X-Acto knife at the end to get a clean edge if you don't have like a guillotine trimmer. You'll also need some sort of thing to bind your book, so if you want to staple it together, then you'll need a stapler. Or if you are going to hand sew it or stitch binding, then you're going to need needle and some thread. I think that's it. Oh, and you're going to need a fair bit of time. I wouldn't say it takes hours and hours to do, but it definitely, like the first time I think it took me a good 3 hours, but like the more you do it, the more you will, like the easier it will be. The first time will take you quite some time just because it's new. Okay, so first thing I do is I print my pages, and this is how they will look. For me, I do, so on one A4 sheet, I get two passport pages, basically like 2 leaves. This is upside down. There we go. So because I keep my margin on the left side, so that's how I know it was upside down. And this is double-sided. Oh, there we go. I was looking for this. So this was what I mentioned before, that I thought the margin was too dark in my previous book, so I wanted to lighten it, and I did lighten it here, but for some reason I didn't like how it looked, so I just printed it as normal, which should be this one. So I don't know if you can tell the difference. Now that I look at it, I think I prefer the light margin. Anyway, so that's just what it looks like when it's on an A4 sheet. And then basically you're going to cut it out. I don't know the exact dimensions because I already have my guide set up on the page, but something I've also done is just taken a book that I already had and just traced, and that works for me. So once you get all your pages together, you will fold them in half. Like after you cut your page on your A4, you will fold it in half, and they will look like this in a little stack. So you'll just fold everything in half and you have a little book. Well, the making of a book. You'll then need to cut out a cover from cardstock. So I just use black, and all my books have black cardstock, and fold that in half. I do also keep a template of this, and I use that to cut around just because I hate measuring things. So yeah. Then once you sandwich it together, this is how your book will look. All we need to do is bind it. So what I do is I will take a pencil and just mark about 10 holes down the center spine, and then you just stab it with your needle, the same needle that I used to bind it. I don't have an awl. It is an awl. Yeah, I don't have an awl. I just use the needle that I'm going to be using to stitch it, because ultimately that needle needs to go through these holes anyway, so I just use the needle. It works. The paper is very thin. I don't have an issue with it, and I just stitch it with saddle stitch. I'll link a tutorial that I followed from YouTube on how to do saddle stitch binding, and that's basically it. I think most of your time will be spent with cutting and folding the pages. Stitching does not take that long, and even stabbing the holes into all the pages is fairly quick. Like, you don't need to mark every single page with markers for where you're going to puncture the page with your needle. So what I will do is, like for example on this page, I will mark the page in pencil with where I would like the holes to be punctured with my needle, and then I will actually stab this page, and then I will just keep reusing this page as a template. I have one. Let me show you one that I was using. Okay, so this is one that I was using. As you can see, there are a lot of holes already, and this was my template page basically. So I just use one page, stab a bunch of holes in it, and then all the other pages I will just place behind them. I can see where the holes are, and I will just keep puncturing. Once this is done, set it to the side and repeat until I'm done with all the pages, and then you'll be left with a book that has just holes, and the cover will also have a bunch of holes, and then you'll just line them up and then stitch together. I'm not going to be binding this book. just because I did make a bit of a mistake when I was cutting this page, like these pages out. So I don't have the white edge on each page. It's just grid all the way to the end because I didn't measure properly. So I won't be actually binding this just because I know when I start using it I will hate it. So I will use the pages that are good enough, and the ones that I absolutely hate and that I'll just throw those pages away and just use the good pages in my next book. And then I need to print more paper, so I haven't done all of that yet. When I make these books, I do 2 at a time, so I always will have a backup. Once I finish one book, I at least have one as a backup to tie me over for a couple months. It does last me, I want to say, like 4 to 6 months, depending on how often you use it. It will be less if you use it like more frequently. Okay, I'll show you the book that I have done. So this was the book that I made last week, and there's the stitch binding. It's kind of, yeah, it is wonky. This will not be perfect, like that's not the goal to make it perfect. It still very much looks handmade, and I'm fine with that. Of course, if I used better products or the appropriate tools, I could get it to look perfect, but I just don't care about making it look perfect either. I will say though, to get a clean edge, and something I did differently on this book that I didn't do on my others. So once you have all the pages together and it's bound, you will notice that the on the side of the book, you'll have pages that are not evenly cut out, even though you did cut them out in the exact same size. Once they get folded over each other and then bound, because they are being folded, like the pages are being folded and moved slightly, you will get pages that stick out further than your cover, and it doesn't look that good. I'll show you. This was the book that I was using, and you can see here there is a bit of overhang and they are not the same size. Like if you run your finger over it, you can, I think they call it deckled edge, I don't know. But I didn't like that with this book. And even though I did try to trim it with the X-Acto knife, this is like, it's really thick to get through this much paper, which is why a guillotine would be better. I don't have one, so I did just go over it a bunch of times with an X-Acto knife, and that also will create a bit of a jagged edge. So I saw somebody's video and they said that they used sandpaper and just sanded down the sides. So I tried that. I didn't have sandpaper though, so I just used a nail file and it worked. It looks kind of better. I don't know if you can tell. I did mess up the edge, as you can see. It's not a straight edge because of my X-Acto knife and my poor cutting skills. But yeah, that's what I've done. I did the top and the bottom with the nail file just in case. And yeah, that's my book. This is the one that I will use moving forward since I've completed my old one. I did decorate it as well and recorded it, and all of that's gone. So yeah, that's literally how I make my books. Is very cheaply made. The problem with this being so cheaply constructed is paper obviously is not archival. I can't use my fountain pens on it, and if I wanted to change that, I absolutely could and use better quality paper, and that will allow me to use my fountain pens. I just don't currently feel the need to do that, and I just want to finish all the supplies that I already have before I buy more stuff. So if you are going to make your own book and you want it a little bit more higher quality, then take into account that you'll need to use better products, like better resources, which is again another factor into why you may not necessarily want to make your own. It's just a lot cheaper and maybe more convenient to just buy the book. But if, like me, you can't buy a book, or you just don't like what's available and you want to make your own, you absolutely can. And you can also make it really cheap. Okay, so I'll show you what this looks like so far. This is just what I've done with the cover. I don't normally do quotes, like I haven't done them on these books before. Oh, I did it on this one. But yeah, I don't normally do quotes in my books. Am I missing a book? Oh no, this. Oh yeah, and I didn't cover this one as yet. Maybe I'll do that in this video, or no, I don't feel like it. I'll do it at some point and then record it and show you. But yeah, this is how I decorated it. I feel like it kind of looks like the others in a way, like it had, like they look like they belong together. But yeah, that's that book. On the inside, oh, I made my own title page, which is something that, do I have an example here? So this is an example that I did. I just have my shop name, well, and my YouTube name there, just so it looks slightly like the Traveler's Company books, because my previous one, like this, didn't have, it was just the same grid paper. It was just the same grid paper from the start page, and I just wanted to make it a little bit different and just elevate it slightly. So yeah, I just created just the square border with my name, and then I decorated the inside. So that's that. Here I just have my dog. I also have a book wish list, which I did this digitally and then printed it out. This is basically all the books that I would like to purchase this year and read. So it's in no particular order, I don't think. No, it's not. I would prefer We Solve Murders by Richard Osman, and then Everyone on This Train is a Suspect by Benjamin Stevenson, just because I read their other books and liked them. Also Alchemized by Sen Yu, because come on, manacled. So yeah, I just have this tucked in the front here, and I thought it was cute that it was a book wish list of things that I want to, of books that I want to buy, and I did it on a library card. I don't know, I got a good kick out of that. So that goes in there for now. Okay, I'll take this out. That was just to remind me of whatever I needed to print. This is my February title page. Just gonna move this pen. I need a pen. Okay, got a pen. So yeah, this is my February title page. Not title page, February. This is my monthly intention page. And for reading, I wanted to read Jurassic Park. I just absolutely love the book. I mean, I love the movie too, but the book, it's just so good. So last year before, I think 2 years ago, I read it for the first time. As soon as I was done with it, I read it immediately again. So I read it twice in 1 month. Yeah, so I wanted to read Jurassic Park. I haven't started it yet because I was reading The Auction, which is another Hermione fanfiction. I finished it. I think my Hermione fanfiction era is ending, and I think it started and ended with Manacled because none of the other books that I have read since have been like Manacled level. So yeah, I think I'm gonna call it quits. I read The Auction. It was not my favorite, but we've done that. I wanted to watch Inventing Anna again just because, I don't know, it's just, I just love Anna Delvey as a character. She's so interesting. Yeah, nothing else in mind. This page, I was about to say I've already mentioned. I didn't, because you haven't seen that footage. This page, I'm leaving it blank just because in case there's anything I want to write about February here, I can just do an overflow and write on this page. If not, I'll use this as the March monthly intention page, so it'll be Feb and March next to each other. So that's why this page is blank. Turning over, oh, I just did Schitt's Creek on here. I had these pictures since I created this spread in my in the first volume of my everything book, and I didn't use it. It was like this page was supposed to be in the old book, but I never got a chance to actually do it, so I stuck them in here. I've watched Schitt's Creek far too many times, but it's such a good show. So yeah, I just wrote about each character and why I like them, and then I just don't care for Stevie and Patrick. Like the first time I watched it, they both were my favorite characters, but then ever since, like from the second rewatch, I just don't care for them. So yeah, that's why those two are together. I don't like this page. I mentioned in I did mention in a different video that I wanted to do kind of like a spider diagram version of this page. I wanted this page to look like a spider diagram, but I never got a chance to actually do it. So I didn't think I could pull it off, and then I definitely did not. I don't like that. I'll just show you. I don't like that there is the additional line. I don't know, it looks really strange. Maybe if I just did I don't know, I don't like this page at all. Yeah, this is just blank for now. I need to print more pictures to stick in here. This is my manacled page that I did digitally and finally printed it and have this in here, but I've already showed this page before. And then I don't have anything else. I think actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to stick Wallace and Gromit here and then write about it, and then I'm going to do a small thing of the auction and do it here as well. I don't have the picture for it though, so I think I'm going to use a dowry of blood just as a placeholder to see how it would look. Yeah, so I think I'm going to do that just because not a dowry of blood, imagine that this is the auction. Just because I didn't love, as much as I love Wallace and Gromit and I was waiting for this movie, it just didn't feel the same. Like, I could watch The Cursed Rabbit, and I have watched it multiple times. I will not be watching this, what is it called? Revenge of the Fowl or something? No, I'm not going to be rewatching that. I did watch it twice just because the first time, I think I was knitting. I was doing something while watching it. No, I was playing Animal Crossing. And I thought I missed something about the movie because it ended and I was like, what happened? So I watched it again. And no, it was not it. So because I don't like either this movie or the book that I read, I don't have much to write about it, so I'm just going to share the page and divide it between the two and write about them here. Yeah, that's this book. And then I'll just do a flip of my old book. So on the front page, I just did Welcome to the Experiment because this was my first experiment of this type of book. It is my everything book. So whatever in my life that isn't memory keeping, which I do in my A6, goes in here, like thoughts about TV shows, mainly. It's mainly TV shows at this point. So yeah, I was just writing that. I did do, that's weird, why did I stick this here? Oh, okay, no, I'm remembering now. This is a sticker that I made. It's just of like my Tamagotchi, but I did a little, I think it's called a rain doll, or is it a sunny doll? But yeah, anyway, that's there. And it's because I have a lot of Tamagotchi resources in this book, so I thought that would be a fitting picture. Okay, so that's that. And then towards the end, I finished off this page with the disappearances of Draco Malfoy. I just have Morally Grey as my favorite color here, just to match in my Hermione era. On that side of the page, I didn't find any fan art that I liked for this book, and I felt like even if I did include something, it would just look too heavy and it will match too much on this side. So I did a little box around the text just so it pops out a little bit more on the page, because without it just blended in too much with the page. So yeah, I just did a little border. I like this. I think I'll do that a little. I think I will incorporate that a little bit more. I also did my Animal Crossing island. So I just have Welcome to Rivendell on the side, which is the name of my island. This is my second island because I restarted. I deleted my first island, the launch day one, and got rid of, I think, 800 or 900 hours. And then yeah, I started a new island. I'm glad I actually have a picture of my map, so that way because it doesn't even look like this anymore. So when I'm done, I can have a comparison of what my finished island map looks like versus what I started with. Here I just have a picture of my entrance, and then here is just a picture of my character walking through a newly decorated area. Not much else going on here. So I have a Southern Hemisphere island, obviously. Well, not really obvious. I guess you could choose a different, you can choose Northern Hemisphere if you wanted to. But anyway, I have a yellow airport. I have apples as my native fruit. I think peaches are my sister fruit and cosmos are my native flower. Yeah, I guess so. That's it. And then on the last page, I just had a reflection of this book and whether it worked or not, and what I learned and what I will be not what I won't be taking forward after experimenting into the new book. I don't even remember what I wrote, even though that was literally last week. But yeah, that's just a reflection page. And we are officially done with this. So ordinarily when I've completed a book, it will go off onto the bookshelf. But with this one, I am still keeping it in my passport cover, and that's just because I have my Tamagotchi resources in here that I do use. Not necessarily this page, because I do have this in my A6 as a reference point, but I do have like my 100 hatch challenge that I'm using to document my 100 hatches. So this is about a 2.5, almost 3-year challenge. So I am going to continue filling this in. I also have the Harry Potter nano data that I've been attempting, which I write here, and I haven't made much progress with this because I mainly run that on the weekends. So yeah, I will be reaching for this book to fill in these pages as and when I use my relevant Tamagotchis. So that's why it won't go on the bookshelf just yet. And also I'm kind of really attached to this book for some reason, more so than I have been for my other books. I just enjoy flipping through all the pages and looking at, oh, and I still need to finish A Conjuring of Light. So yeah, I just enjoy flipping through the pages and looking through my books. So I'm kind of glad that I'm not putting it away onto the bookshelf just yet. Okay, so yeah, that's basically an update on my TN and how I make my inserts. I hope you found it helpful. If you have any questions, please let me know. So I think that's it. I don't have anything else, any other update. I will be doing more pen tests, more paper tests for my A6, and that will be most likely next week's video. And I think I'll also do a bit of an unboxing next week because I pre-ordered my birthday present, so I think that should arrive by the time I record next week's video. So that's fun. I got a few blind boxes, so I'll be doing an unboxing on that, and I hope to see you again next time. Bye.